starting guards. He's out for the second straight game in concussion protocol. Your officials, Ray Natilli, Terry Oglesby, and Amy Bonner, and we are underway. The road team, the Baylor Bears, in their green uniforms, control the opening tip.
Scott Drew has won in here often over the last 4 years.
Dale Bonner, number 3 in green, starting in place of Cryer. Baylor has 2 of 5 players in their starting lineup with national championship rings. Flo Thamba was one of them. He gets the assist to Jalen Bridges.
A very aggressive trap by Iowa State in that pick and roll, and a great job by Flo Thamba in that what we call short roll. Good find of Bridges.
Starting 5 for the Cyclones, 3 of those 5 playing in their first ever Big 12 league game. Fran, what do you think they're expecting?
They're going to get a chance to see some Hilton magic here. Question is, will it be for 40 minutes or just early?
And a traveling violation called on the true freshman, Tamin Lipsey, one of those 3 playing in his first Big 12 game. There's Scott Drew. I like to call him the Ted Lasso of college basketball. Big energy, all about positivity. The 52-year-old now with 407 career wins and one of only 3 major conference coaches ever to win back-to-back-to-back Coach of the Year awards. Gene Cady and Jay Wright, the other 2 to accomplish that.
And a foul. Oh, an offensive foul. Tamin Lipsey went right through Flo Thamba, but in the eyes of Ray Natilli, Thamba was moving.
Well, defense is the calling card for TJ Otzelberger, 45 years old, and in his second season at Iowa State after previously being here under 3 different head coaches and as an assistant.
He's a great fit here. His wife is one of the all-time great women's players here, and he has this program on the upswing. That recruiting class next year, a monster one we'll talk about during the game.
Here's Gabe Kalscheur in the starting lineup. Caleb Grill, 3-point marksman, off the mark on his first.
Those are the kind of shots he hit to beat Hubert Davis's Tar Heels.
There's Keontae George, 1 in green. He is a fabulous freshman. Off to a great start in his initial campaign with the Baylor Bears. Misses his first shot.
And I think the thing about Keontae George, which has really impressed the coaching staff, they knew he could score, but his passing, his defense has been exemplary. Very coachable for a kid who was the number 3 recruit in the ESPN class of 2022.
Cyclones set up their D. What did they do so well defensively?
Help. 5 guys on one side of the floor. That's a tough shot right there. But their help defense is as good as you'll see in college basketball. And they make you play 5-on-3, but that time there's no answer for a guy who can hit a 30-footer.
Adam Flagler leading the conference in 3-pointers made per game, has his first of the afternoon.
And what the Cyclones will do on offense is try to play 5 out and spread you out.
Grill gets fouled and will go to the line for the first time today.
Caleb Grill, young man from Mays, Kansas, right outside of Wichita. And he's interesting, Rich, because he came here as a freshman playing behind guys like Rasheer Bolden, Ty Halliburton. He left to go to UNLV to play for TJ Otzelberger and then return to Ames. And tough kid. He's had a really solid 2 years back in Ames.
Great free throw shooter, 13 out of 15 coming in. He knocks down his first today. And 1 for 2, but the offensive rebound chased down by St. Bonaventure transfer Oshun Oshuni. Sets up Kalscheur for 3.
And the reason the crowd is pumped is because Gabe Kalscheur does a lot of good things for this team, but he's been a very, very streaky 3-point shooter, and that is welcome this afternoon.
Trap in the corner and a turnover. That's what the Cyclones D does. Defense to offense, not this time. The rebound on the weak side to Keontae George. Flagler all alone in transition, and that's automatic for him.
Good kick ahead by George. Good ball movement right there. And one thing you know, if you're TJ Otzelberger, he's going to be very concerned if his guys are going to leave Flagler open in transition. Again, Rich, this Bears team makes 10 threes a game. Almost half of their points come from behind the arc.
And Flagler, 12 straight games now with a 3. But Gabe Kalscheur has an answer with his second triple.
You know, we were talking yesterday at practice. He's like a 240 hitter, but can hit 30 homers. And when he makes those shots, along with the defense and the experience, he's a different player. Had the big game against Nova in Portland when they beat Villanova.
We welcome you, those of you who are watching TCU and Texas Tech from Fort Worth. Another Big 12 tilt here on ESPNU. It's the homestanding Iowa State Cyclones welcoming in number 12 Baylor alongside Fran Fraschilla. I'm Rich Hollenberg, and we've got a tightly contested matchup in the first 4 minutes. The offense of Baylor and the defense of Iowa State.
And the home crowd of Hilton Coliseum, because they are packed in today. No students on campus, but another outstanding crowd in one of the great venues in college basketball.
A sellout here. 14,000 plus strong cheering on their Cyclones.
It's too warm, Rich. It's 32 degrees. I'm used to coming here when it's like 8 degrees.
Yeah, there was actually snow melting outside instead of accumulating. Keontae George with the take. No call. He got his own miss. A scramble for the loose ball. And it's a jump ball. It'll be possession arrow to the Cyclones.
Halliburton, George Niang, Monte Morris, Taylor Horton-Tucker, all high school kids. So they've done it both ways. And, of course, Baylor's dipped into the transfer portal as well. Gonzaga has done it well through the years. But everybody else is catching up.
There's Grill, who transferred out of Iowa State and then back to Iowa State from UNLV. Loose ball. Who wants it? Caleb Lohner on the floor for Baylor, number 33 in green. But it's John Ojonwunu.
He was absolutely playing great. Take a look right here. When you talk about Big Rob Jones, they call him Big Rob Energy, and Caleb Lohner, two guys that will not mind getting down on the floor. And by the way, Rich, Jazz Coombs' injury is bigger than people think. To me, he's one of the more underrated role players in the Big 12. And so a guy like Robert Jones really has to continue to do the things he's done early in this season, which is play with great energy.
Yeah, Coach Otzelberger said Kuntz is the steadiest of all the players he has. He's going to be out for about a month. How about that shot? Again, a guarded jump shot that gets knocked down by Adam Flagler.
Well, let's take a look right here. Tamin Lipsey's getting his education in the Big 12. Good defense, but Flagler able to hang and knock down a shot. Baylor's got a kid, D'Antoine Grimes, a JUCO All-American, who's redshirting this year. And we were talking to him last night, and I said to him, you better watch closely and learn this year how good this league is. And I think he'll take that to heart. This is a different animal than what these teams have been through in November and December.
Some pressure. And it's knocked out of bounds. You know, we talk a lot about this Baylor offense. The Baylor defense has come to play as well.
Well, both teams, you know, Scott Drew, all these teams. By the way, Rich, you look at the numbers in the Big 12, the analytical numbers. You're talking about 10 of the best defenses in America. These are well-coached, tough, hard-nosed teams in this league. Illegal.
The official saw it, calling going the other way. It'll be Baylor basketball now. Adam Flagler trying to stretch out his left hamstring, something to keep an eye on. Number 10 in green, the leading scorer for the Baylor Bears, has scored the last 9 points for him as well.
Little half-court pressure now by the Cyclones. We talk about Baylor, guys like Flagler. He's pretty much seen it all, part of a national championship team.
Now Flagler working on zero and white, Trey King. Lohner, and the foul is going to be on the floor.
Tough break, he had to call it. Rob Jones got caught behind Lohner. Couldn't get back in position, so that's 2 on Big Rob Energy, the transfer from Denver, who's really improved this year. Played really well against North Carolina in that upset in Portland.
And now Oshuni back on the floor. Lipsey, some tight defense, and he's going to be whistled for another foul.
Well, this is a freshman mistake, and he's got to understand, don't reach in. It's a tough break. But when you're guarding a guy like Flagler, don't reach in. If he hits a tough shot, you know, tip your hat, go the other way. But again, the education of a freshman point guard, who, by the way, grew up right here in Ames. And when you think about Ames High School, the Little Cyclones, you're talking about guys like Fred Hoiberg and Doug McDermott, Harrison Barnes.
Now the Hilton faithful letting Adam Flagler and the Bears hear it on what they thought was a little bit of a tic-tac foul. Flagler knocks down the free throw, already in double digits. Less than 6 minutes gone by in this game.
This Baylor team is nowhere near where they're going to be in a few weeks. Without Pryor today, Flagler's missed some. Rich, we're used to them being a top 5 team and not losing their second game of the season into January, sometimes February. That's not this Baylor team. They have a lot of room for improvement.
So now Lipsy on the bench for the Cyclones with those 2 early fouls and some full court pressure by Baylor.
Like to do this after free throws. It's really token pressure.
And King grabs it. It's tough to see what the call was. It's going to be Iowa State basketball on the sideline.
We talked about those transfers from Iowa State. We mentioned Baylor too. They have dipped into the transfer portal. They've done a great job through the years of redshirting, developing guys.
Holmes
Nice.
to Oshuni. That's a body connection right there, both transferring from St. Bonaventure.
Well, and also TJ Otzelberger's got to love the pick and roll connection against this good Baylor team. Free to the basket.
Baylor's led from the opening tip. It's a 4-point advantage for the 12th ranked Bears with the basketball. Now Langston Love, 13 in green. And he's called for palming the basketball, a Baylor turnover.
Let's go back to the other end. You talked about that St. Bonaventure connection, 2 50-year guys. Look at the roll to the basket. The freshman is late. Ojianwunu, who I think is going to be an outstanding player, probably ahead of some of the great big men that have played at Baylor, but that time he gets caught out on the floor and doesn't get back to Oshuni.
Here's Holmes. He and Oshuni, both 1,000-point scorers with St. Bonaventure. Holmes off the mark there. Oshuni, the offensive board. Back out to Kalscheur. And he's too strong on that 3. Chased down by Flagler.
Good basketball right there. Good inside out. Good kick out by Oshuni. And Kalscheur needs to have a big day. This offense of the Cyclones, not prolific. We're going to need a couple guys to get 15 or more.
Conversely, what's the calling card for Baylor offensively?
Get the ball to Flagler and Keontae George. And Rich, this team averages 4 charges a game, Iowa State. We talked about the help. And if you're Baylor right now, and you should know this going into the game, this does not work. Again, we mentioned the freshman playing in the Big 12. Lipsy early on, now the fresh. That's what Scott Drew's telling him right now. You know what? Against Nicholls State, they're not going to take a charge. Maybe not. They have a good team, by the way. But in this league, you drive down the lane and play off 1 foot, it's suicide offensively.
That's the 28th charge taken this season by Gabe Kalscheur already. Love the rebound off the miss. 1 and done for the Clones. Here's Thamba. Made his 79th consecutive start for Baylor today. And another foul called. And it looks like the foul's going to be on Iowa State. That's going to go on Kalscheur, his first. Well, you mentioned the red shirts, Fran. Scott Drew and his staff always do such a great job of developing talent with a year under their belts.
And think about it, it's not just bigs, although you see some great big men there. All these guys played in the league. It's guards. It's guys like, remember, Brady Heslop and certainly Davion Mitchell, Maceo Teague. The player development at Baylor has been a calling card over the last 2 decades.
Keontae George hangs. Watson swats it away. That shot was altered as well by Oshuni. And again, we're seeing the Iowa State defense bare its teeth.
Well, now they have to be more proficient on the offensive end. And that's where guys like Holmes and Kalscheur have got to make some shots.
Holmes came up empty. George, spot up three.
Money. Look good.
That time, offensive rebound, and Flagler with the green light. Third triple of the day for Adam Flagler, who is
a little too much contact going on between Love and the freshman.
Yeah, Demarion Watson. Try to get the inbounds in, and it's a turnover. Here's King in transition.
King did not see Kalscheur.
Met at the rim, swallowed up by the Bears defense. It'll stay Iowa State basketball.
Good aggressive play right there by the freshman Watson. Again, I'm watching these freshmen just thinking, okay, your teammates and coaches have told you about Big 12 play, and now they're all getting a taste of it, which is always fun to see.
Baptism by fire here in the Big 12.
Wow.
Kalscheur fouled on the jump shot.
You spend as much time in this league as you and I have, Rich, and you watch the Monte Morrises and the Frank Masons and the Buddy Hields come through, and sooner or later they become juniors and seniors. You remember Al McGuire, the great coach at Marquette, he said the best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores.
Right.
And with one and dones, you don't see that anymore, but what's so good about the Big 12 is watching guys grow up before your eyes.
Kalscheur had only missed 2 free throws coming into this contest, but he misses his first attempt this afternoon.
This is a guy that started his career at Minnesota, his home state, 3-year starter. Had some great games last year, MVP in Brooklyn. And we know the shooting comes and goes, but he does a lot of little things to help this team. He's a really good defender in this man-to-man system.
He leads the Clones with 7 so far, and the biggest news is he hit his first 2 3-point attempts.
Yep. And he's capable.
Good hands by Kalscheur, forcing the turnover.
That's one of the things about Keontae George he has to improve, the sloppiness.
Here's Grill left alone. Bang! Tough shot by George, off the mark. Flo Thamba picks it up and puts it down for his first 2.
Good energy by the 5th-year senior. All Flo Thamba has done is he's the winningest player in Baylor history. Good job inside.
And Gabe Kalscheur along the sideline looks like he took a shot to the kisser. Kalscheur's going to have to go to the bench, and TJ Altenberger is going to have to bring someone on, and Taman Lipsey's up off the bench with those 2 fouls.
Again, they're playing without Jazz Coons, who is, you might not know his name if you're not an Iowa State fan, but really one of the more underrated blue-collar guys in the league. He'll be out about a month. He told us today he'll be back hopefully for February 4th in Kansas. But TJ going deep into his bench early.
Lipsey, 4th in the Big 12 in assists, 4.5 a game. Try to get one there to Hassan Ward, and Ward gets fouled.
And the freshman very deliberate on that drive, knowing he's playing with 2. And Hassan Ward, another one of those transfers, big kid from VCU, shot blocker.
Well, Fran, it's way too early to mention Taman Lipsey in the same breath as some of the great point guards who've come through Ames, but he's off to a really good start.
Solid. They like his competitiveness. They like his composure. But when you're talking about those great point guards, Jamal Tinsley, Will Blaylock, Monte Morris, certainly some guy named Halliburton who's having a pretty good all-star season in the NBA.
And then even Tyrese Hunter, who spent 1 year here last year and now is part of the Longhorns program.
We'll see him quite a bit this year. And when you play here for 4 years and have the career some of those guys we mentioned have, you leave here as really an all-time great. There you go.
There's Lipsey right on cue. His first 2.
Again, poise. He's not a great athlete. He's not a great player yet. He's just a really solid player. And when you're starting as a freshman in the Big 12, it's a good sign.
Flagler had it blocked by Ward. It's going to stay Baylor basketball.
Take a look at the freshman now. We're talking about Tamin Lipsey. Watch him get to the rim. Little scoop underhand. Nicely done. Some shades there, Monte Morris.
Sure.
Well, we watched over 4 years and now having a solid NBA career, this time with the Wizards.
Another tough two. This one off the window by Jalen Bridges. No easy shots against the Clones D.
Gonna have to earn every basket today, both ways.
You mentioned the legends like Morris and Halliburton. They'll never pay for a meal at Provisions here.
I would say that's correct, Rich. This is one of those unique places that they just worship the guys that have been here and put the sweat equity in over their careers.
Here's Kalscheur. Short on that attempt. He'll try from three this time. Way off the mark. That one was altered. And Ojonwunu comes away with it. And we're going the other way. Dale Bonner stepped on the sideline.
It's one of those games after 10 minutes where both teams still feeling each other out. You see Dale Bonner steps on the sideline. He trips. And then like to see the good sportsmanship. Instead of standing over him, both Iowa State Cyclones went over and picked Dale up. Dale Bonner, the transfer from Fairmont State, did not have a Division I offer, and he's turned out to be a very solid player for Scott Drew in year 2.
Second in the conference right now in steals per game is Dale Bonner. And he gets one right there. But a traveling violation called after he picks it off.
He's averaging 1 steal every 20 possessions in the half court. His steal rate is 5%, which puts him in the top 20 in the country. And he's doing it as a role player, but much improved. Cleveland, Ohio kid, Fairmont State.
That one blocked. Ojonwunu the rebound. Here comes Adam Flagler. He's got 14 already in the half. That one tipped out of bounds. It'll stay Baylor basketball. 21 on the shot clock.
Sloppy play both ways, but the defenses are locked in.
Both of these teams offensively like to share the sugar. Both top 30 in the nation in assists per game. And a foul's going to be called on Gabe Kalscheur. So some early foul trouble for TJ Otzelberger and the Cyclones. Kalscheur with 2, Lipsey with 2. And now Demarion Watson going to check back in, the freshman out of Maple Grove, Minnesota.
Demarion has not played a ton of minutes, but when you watch him on film, very athletic, high-energy wing, and I would expect him, Rich, in time to be a tremendous defensive wing.
Keontae George has his first point of the afternoon. 8th in the conference in scoring, 5th in the conference in free throw percentage, 6th in three-point percentage.
And averaging 4 rebounds and 4 assists a game. He will be an NBA point guard in time. You have to have the ball in his hands.
Yeah, stat sheet stuffer, number 1 in green. 1 for 2. Extends Baylor's lead to 5, coming up on 9 minutes to go in the first half. Big 12 conference opener for both of these clubs. Baylor winners of 5 straight and 7 of their last 8. Here's Robert Jones. Got blocked by the rim.
Ojonwunu did a good job. Nice pass.
Look at that pass.
That's what we're talking about. This kid's vision is incredible. I'm not sure a lot of people knew about that aspect of his game. We've always thought of this young man out of Dallas as a great scorer, but that's the kind of vision he has.
First dime of the contest for Keontae George.
Now this young man, Keontae George, going to get a chance to see him for 1 season. Take a look right on the money to Jalen Bridges. Doing a little bit of everything.
A good sign for the Baylor offense. Jalen Bridges with an early 6 points. He's struggled offensively so far in his time in Waco.
Well, the shooting especially, you know, the outside shooting. He's actually been good inside the arc, but really struggled. He was about 35% at West Virginia. 2 years there, redshirted a 3rd year.
Another tough two.
Oh, Rich.
Adam Flagler is on fire.
You could not have said it any better. That was a tough two. His dribble escape was incredible right there. Create that separation.
Nice play by Bridges, out of bounds, and it's going to be Baylor basketball. Excellent hustle by the transfer from West Virginia, and Baylor has a 9.
Iowa, how about that? He got out of the state, went down to TCU. Great career, and as we go out of break, Iowa State, little 2-3 zone now just to change up the look. Try to keep Flagler from getting into that rhythm where he's done it all really one-on-one. Really one of the great one-on-one scorers in the country.
And again, the top of this cyclone zone, Lipsy and Kalscheur both with 2 fouls on it. Brill grabs the rebound off the Keontae George miss.
Again, Rich, we talked about this. We knew Iowa State would be tough. It would defend, but scoring we thought would be an issue, and it has been so far.
How about this blow by?
Yep.
Freshman on freshman.
No help. And picked his spot nicely.
4 points for Lipsy, but he's really impressed with his assist-to-turnover ratio. Coming in 48 assists, only 18 turnovers for the freshman.
And that equals poise right there.
10 on the shot clock. Flagler's got the mismatch, takes advantage. What a pretty dime to Ojonwunu.
Now the aggressive play in the pick and roll out at midcourt brings the Iowa State big guy out there, but it leaves Ojonwunu open on the baseline. Great find by Flagler.
Try to get it inside, picked off by Bridges. But it's out of bounds. It'll stay Iowa State basketball.
Well, Rich, when you're aggressive like Iowa State is all season, and they really give you trouble out on the floor, the problem is once you break that trap at midcourt, you're playing 4-on-3, and with Flagler and his experience, he's going to make it easy for his teammates. And we've mentioned Ojonwunu. He's a freshman from Nigeria, part of that NBA Global Academy that's really sprouted up and produced a lot of really good college and NBA players. And I really think when you think of the Jonathan Motley's and the Torian Princes and the Corey Jeffersons, Quincy Aces, this kid every bit as good at the same stage as some of those great Baylor Bears. He has enormous potential.
Yeah, they have really high hopes for number 15 in green. He checks out now for Scott Drew.
He's coming off his first double-double the other night against Nichols.
11 points, 11 boards for the big man. But now Baylor going a little smaller.
I just don't think Iowa State can hurt them inside.
Offensive foul, this time called on 0 and white, Trey King.
Well, and George we've talked about, he's not making the jump shot yet, but we've seen a great dime in transition and that time taking the charge. Absolutely coachable. When you think about a guy, you know, there's 3 kinds of players, Rich. Those that know, very few. Those that don't know, most of them. And those that don't know, they don't know. You can't coach those guys because they think they know. This kid's in group 2. He doesn't know, but he's willing to learn, and he's been really coachable.
So Baylor has the ball coming up on 6 minutes to go, their largest lead of the game.
And they've got this arena dead silent right now.
Here's Bridges for 3. Off the mark. And that's been his bugaboo all season. Lipsy threw it up there, and somehow it goes in. Talk about Hilton magic, Fran.
Little bit of contact. He was looking for the end one. But, man, softly over the top of the square. Really nicely done. Great balance. And, again, we're watching Lipsy playing with great poise. And here they come, Rich.
And they're going to get Oshuni for the foul, his first.
This is terrific balance now. Watch how high on the board he puts this. Right at the top of the square. You know, at the Baylor practice gym, you remember Davion Mitchell, right? Maceo T. Garrett Butler. They have a line above the top of the square, and they used to practice what they call high backboard shots, because when you shoot it off the high backboard, it deadens your shot on the move. And you just saw Lipsy with a perfect example of a high backboard layup right there. And there was a guy in the NBA that made 1 million of those who played right here by the name of Jeff Hornacek. We call that as coaches organized off-balance shots.
Bonner 2 for 2. Robert Jones checks in for Iowa State. Let's take a look at what everyone thought would be the predicted order of finish. Baylor edging out Kansas for the top spot. Iowa State way down the list at number 8. And as we see already, in large part, what we thought we knew, we don't really know until conference play begins.
What we know is it is the best league in the country. It has been for a decade. The coaching is great, the player development is great, and the numbers do not lie.
Kalscheur's got 3 threes and brings the Iowa State Cyclones to within 6.
Good hustle by Baylor right there because the roof would have come off. And Lipsy and Grill connected on that transition layup right there. I will say this about Taman. There's a calmness about him that does remind me of Monte Morris. And Ty Halliburton had the same presence.
Halliburton went off for 43 the other night for the Pacers.
What a career. We really didn't see it coming.
Grill off the mark. And a couple of Bears collide and it goes out of bounds. Lohner and Bonner.
Getting on the floor. 2 guys that do play their hearts out. Probably the 2 grittiest guys that Scott Drew has, Lohner and Bonner.
Deep 3. Grill. Yes! Caleb Grill with his run. Cyclones have made 4 of their last 5 shots. And now they're going to bear down on the Bears defensively.
And this is a 1-3-1 zone that they also use this year. We've seen the 2-3 as well as the 1-3-1.
10 on the shot clock. Bonner. Grill the rebound. Iowa State could tie it with a 3. Kalscheur tries a 2 and nails it.
Well, that's the guy we talked about. He's hitting 240, but he can also go 4 for 4 with a couple homers, and he's done that so far. It gives you everything else on this end.
A 10-2 Iowa State run. Five to shoot. Flagler sees it. A logo 3. And it almost dropped, but Grill rips down another rebound. Iowa State looking to take their first lead of the afternoon. Jones can't give it to him. Flagler the weak side rebound.
Tough shot by Robert Jones. Turn around, fade away. Probably not what TJ wanted.
And again, 1 and done for this Baylor offense.
Great effort by Grill and King on that defensive rebound. Watch this double high ball screen. He rejects it.
Kicks it out. Grill wide open. And it's tracked down by...
Yeah. Baylor thought that the freshman was going to use the ball screen. He rejected it, and he got himself in perfect position to drop off the dime.
Great atmosphere inside Hilton. What else is new? George, corner.
Freshman not knocking him down yet, but we've seen him, Rich. He is not afraid of big shots. Long game left.
Only 1 point for Keontae George so far. Two minutes to go in the first half. The lob. Jones. Yes! Iowa State leads by 1.
Ojonwuna has been caught twice out on the floor and didn't get back to the roll man. And Rob Jones, if there's one thing he does, is he plays with energy.
Flagler, single-handedly doing it for Baylor.
Rich, that's not a play. That's a player. Because he's doing it himself in isolation.
Adam Flagler had a season-high 4 in 12 straight games. Adam Flagler, the transfer from Presbyterian out of Duluth, Georgia.
Another one of those guys with no Division I offers out of high school.
Amazing.
Except for Presbyterian.
Here's Grill, catch and release. And he got fouled by Bonner on the 3-ball attempt.
That's just poor recognition by Bonner. You're guarding a guy who will jack it and get hot. And so they just dribble handoff. Take a look. He's late, switching out. Contact up top, and an easy call. It's just poor communication, not a good switch by the guys in green.
So by the way, Grill at the line.
New haircut for Caleb Grill.
This is the first. Here's our first Super Tuesday college matchup of the year, and it should be a good one. KJ Williams and LSU, and number 19 Kentucky. It's coming to you from Rupp Arena on Tuesday night. Coverage of this SEC showdown begins at 8 Eastern, 7 Central on the ESPN and the ESPN app. Kentucky won earlier today in a blowout over Louisville, but they haven't been quite as good as people thought.
Well, when I watched them against Missouri, the one thing I said, and listen, Coach Cal, I've known him a long time. He's a 10 million times better coach than I am. I just didn't know what their identity was when I watched them. And obviously today they got back on track, and they've got a good LSU team coming into Rupp on Tuesday night.
Under a minute to go inside Hilton Coliseum. Our first tie of the afternoon, 32-all between 12th ranked Baylor and the Iowa State Cyclones. 10 on the shot clock. Bridges, he's going to have to go. He does. Thamba can't follow. And Watson chases it down.
Great tip by Grill, who wasn't going to be able to grab it with 2, so he knocked it out to Watson in the corner.
5-second differential between the shot clock and the game clock. Here's Holmes. Refuses the ball screen. Holmes with the right hand on the left side, no good. 8 seconds left for Baylor.
Plenty of time.
Flagler.
Too early.
And Oshuni with the rebound in traffic and the foul called. So with .2 on the clock, Oshuni will get to the line and try and give Iowa State the lead going into the locker room.
But you're not going to complain if you're Scott Drew of Adam Flagler pulling up from 3. But I just thought there was a little too much time, and he had time to get to the basket. And now, somewhat surprisingly, Rich, Cyclones have a chance to take this lead when you think about where they were just 10 minutes ago. Now what they're doing right now is they're going to match up the whistle on the foul with the game clock. So I think Amy Bonner said .9. I thought that's what we heard.
That makes a big difference. .2 to .9.
0.6.
They're going to split the difference and say .6 on the clock.
Time.
But remember, Iowa State should be going to the free throw line, and Oshuni is going to be shooting 2 free throws.
This is a young man. You mentioned the St. Bonaventure connection with Holmes. They had a great run for 4 years. All of their starters are playing. I think Kyle Lofton at Florida, Dominic Welch at Alabama, Jalen Attaway, who's having a really good season with the Austin Spurs.
Now they also changed the last basket made by Baylor to a 2-pointer, not a 3. So now it's a 2-point lead for Iowa State. And they're doing it without the services of Jazz Kuntz, who broke his finger in practice earlier last week. Shuni knocks them both down. A 3-point lead for Iowa State over number 12 Baylor. They close the half on a 14-2 run.
When you get the Big 12 play, but Rich, he's capable of going out and getting 15 or 18 in the second half.
Iowa State starts off with possession. 11-0, leading at the half, including 7-0 this season. They've got a 3-point lead to start. No call. Oshuni for 2.
Pick and roll. The big fella rolls into the high paint, catches it. Scott Drew wants a charge. Amy Bonner says, nope, not going to give you that one.
It's like that. It's the largest lead of the afternoon for the Cyclones.
Again, if you're Baylor, you don't want to have to rely on Flagler the whole time.
Here's Bonner for 3. Short. Oshuni and Caleb Grill combined.
Yep, and Bonner's improved his shooting, but that's not a shot I would have taken early in the second half. I think it's got to be George and Flagler to start.
Now Kalscheur guarded ever more closely after his outstanding first half.
What Iowa State does, Rich, is another roll to the basket.
Really
nicely
for
done.
2.
Yep. So because Baylor comes out and puts pressure on the freshman, he uses the big fella Oshuni as the outlet twice.
Thamba fouled. That's going to go on Jaron Holmes, his first. So Flo Thamba will step to the free throw line for the first time this afternoon. Not close.
Well, Flo has been struggling at the line this year. Actually, I think he's made his last few coming into tonight.
Thamba goes 1 for 2. And now full court pressure by the Baylor Bears.
They've been doing this all year in those free throw situations. Numbers here. Now, Rich, what Iowa State does really well is they spread the floor side to side.
Holmes, first bucket of the game for the leading scorer for the Cyclones.
That time they didn't even have to go side to side because the Baylor defense was non-existent on the drive.
No Jazz Kuntz, no problem so far for Iowa State.
No L.J. Cryer, a problem for Baylor. Watch Jaron Holmes now. You mentioned first basket. There's no help defense here. So it's a drive against George, and he goes to the rim unimpeded, and that's not something that I think is going to make the Baylor coaching staff happy.
That's a 24-year-old working on a teenager. Here's Thamba. Good ball movement. George had it blocked by Oshuni.
Remember, pick and roll. Oshuni's really good at the top of the key. He's become a really good passer in this offense.
Kalscheur off the curl.
We expected Baylor without L.J. Cryer. We've talked about Flagler all day. Right now, they don't have enough scoring, especially with George not able to get going yet.
Here's George. And as you say that, Keontae George has his first field goal of the afternoon and an and-one opportunity.
Oh, what I love about this is watch him draw contact right here. Handles the bump, still finishes through it. And again, we talked about the lessons he's learning. The coaching staff told him yesterday, hey, play in the Big 12. It's going to be different. It's going to be physical. And I don't mind that the shots have not dropped for him early, because we saw him in Dallas a couple weeks ago. Can absolutely get going, and he is not afraid of taking big shots in this second half. Trust us.
And now Oshuni, who started the second half off so strong, has to go to the bench with his third foul. George completes the three-point play.
There's that 1-2-1-1 pressure with Bridges on the ball. They'll trap the first pass.
And they handle the pressure there.
Now, Oshuni was really good in the high post in that ball screen. Let's watch Jones here.
Lipsy, float game? No. Tipped out of bounds. It's going to be Baylor basketball.
Rich, early in the second half, we mentioned the big fellow from St. Bonaventure and how good he was in that high paint off the roll. Jones pretty good, but not the passer that Oshuni is. So it takes away an option in that pick and roll game.
Tough assignment, the freshman Lipsy trying to check Adam Flagler. He had 18 in the first half. Now Keontae George, heat check.
No surprise, folks. He's oblivious to pressure. That stroke was beautiful.
Jones forces it up on the window.
Again, not as good as Oshuni there, although he's improved.
Chance to make it a one-possession ball game. And Bridges, right place at the right time. Jalen Bridges with 8, and Baylor answers with a run of their own. They're within 3.
What I like about that for Baylor, it's not Flagler now. They're getting some scoring from other spots.
Now the Hilton crowd has gone silent. Here's Grill, spot up, 3, got it.
The freshman made that play. Lipsy got so deep into the lane, he drew 3 or 4 green jerseys, and he found Grill on the backside, lifting out of the corner. Excellent. Now that looked like Monte Morris.
Here's Lipsy with a steal. And a foul called.
All right, Rich, here we go. 18 years, one of those guys has been on a Big 12 all-conference team. 17 of 18 years, you have a leader running your team that's thought of that well by the coaches and media in this conference.
Tweety Carter, one of those players, now on the bench, part of the staff for Scott Drew and the Baylor Bears. Inside, Jones out of the timeout. At close range, but good D on the back line.
Got it right where they wanted it. We mentioned Robert Jones has improved offensively, and that time he's not going to get a better look. Great out of timeout play by T.J. Otzelberger. Good pressure.
George had designs on taking this second half over, but he's called for the offensive foul.
He's got to know that you're not going to get away with this. Take a look. The defender is legal before he leaves his feet. 2 feet down, and that's a close call. But he also has to know that you don't play off 1 foot in the lane in this league. The only team that does that is Kansas. But their athleticism is so good that Bill Self, in my opinion, lives with some charges to get a guy like Wilson downhill.
Yeah. Talk about downhill. Tamin Lipsy having his way.
I love what they're doing. They're not getting scoring in the low post. That's why they play 5 out. But it opens up the drive for a guy like Lipsy. Excuse me.
T.J. Otzelberger told us with Jazz Kuntz out, they were going to have to go with 4 guards in their lineups a lot this afternoon, and so far hasn't hurt them that much. Bounce pass. Thamba to Bridges.
Great job by Thamba to be under control. That's where we call, that's a short roll. Instead of rolling all the way to the basket, he knows his point guard's got to get rid of it early.
Here's Kalscheur. 17 for Gabe Kalscheur. And the lead is back up to 8 for the Clones.
Good switch.
Here's Bridges for 3. Off the mark as bodies go flying, and Trey King grabs the rebound.
And now T.J. Otzelberger will live with Bridges shooting it and not Flagler.
And Robert Jones was called for the offensive foul away from the ball.
Let's go back and watch the freshman who's been outstanding today, the local kid. Watch the drive to the rim, no protection, because Thamba is backing up with Jones. And then here there's just no help. This is just poor Baylor defense, and we've seen that 4 or 5 times today, Rich.
Now Lipsy to the bench. 8 points, 6 assists for the freshman out of Ames, Tamin Lipsy. Nearly a turnover, and it turns into one.
Well, they had numbers. Oh, good hands.
George picks up the loose ball and knocks it down.
George's pass was deflected, but he chased it down, and he's terrific in the lane, hanging like a trapeze artist.
It's turning into hand-to-hand combat in the Big 12 opener. Here's Holmes. And Jaron Holmes will go to the line and shoot a pair.
Let's go back, Rich. A lot of contact, physical game right here. Watch. And contact. Here comes George. His pass gets deflected, but he stays with it. And watch him just hang in the air. He does that so well. One of the things that Iowa State, I think, is doing by design, Rich, is in their pick and roll out at the top of the key. They're purposely not using the ball screen. They're rejecting it, and what that's doing is it's opening up their big guy in that high paint to roll, and they've been really effective there.
Jaron Holmes hits the first of 2 free throws. Just a 62% free throw shooter on the season.
It's a young man from Romulus, Michigan. School that has produced a lot of great players, including Will Clyburn, who was one of those transfers we talked about that had a great career here.
Pressure handled by the Baylor offense. Good shot fake. And the 2-point bucket by Keontae George, and he has hit the hot button.
And he's learning, too, because you notice where he stopped? In the high paint. Didn't try to run anybody over. Very poised on that play.
10 second half points.
See how they reject the screen? By design.
2 feet. Dunk. George. Not this time. And an Iowa State offense that's been much maligned the last couple of seasons has come to life today.
Well, and it's strategic. They're carving up the pick and roll coverage by not using the ball screen. Watch him roll out now. There he is.
With 5 to shoot. Holmes working on the bigger Ojonwunu. And a follow by King. And that one's going to go on Kalscheur, his third.
It's all effort right now in this building.
In assists per game, they have 12 dimes on 20 made field goals, and in the second half they're shooting 9 for 13 from the field. That is why they have themselves a 10-point lead with 9 minutes gone by in the second half.
You see now, coming out of a timeout, they go zone 2-3.
George, spot up, 3, got it.
Yep.
Keontae George with 14 in the game, 13 of them coming in the second stanza.
Remember now, Flagler, who had 18 at the half, did not score, has not scored in the second half. So both of those Baylor Bears have to get it going. Good hustle by the freshman.
Oshuni chases it down. Here comes Iowa State.
Great hustle by Oshuni to get after that ball. That was a big play.
Lipsy back on the floor, gives it up to Grill. Caleb Grill had 14 points in 4 career games against Baylor coming in. Today, he's got 15 and 4 3-pointers.
Listen, this kid as a senior coming back home where he transferred back from UNLV. Just a couple weeks ago, he had one of the great performances in Iowa State history when he got 31 against Carolina when the Tar Heels were #1 in the country.
TJ Altenberger told us they don't have a stud on offense. They need someone to step up every single game, and it doesn't have to be the same guy each game. Today, he's got 2 of them. Caleb Grill with 15, Gabe Kalscheur with 17.
They're not the most talented team in the Big 12. We know that. They're going to win the way they're playing right now. Toughness, defense, and some guy. Oh, there's a no call there.
3 on the shot clock. Love can't get it to go. Offensive rebound by Lohner. And they're going to call a foul underneath the basket.
I would say this right now. I just saw some contact away from the floor right until he let it go. I will say this, because this is a very good crew. They're going to have to start to call some more fouls. This game has gotten too physical. We know it's the Big 12. It's conference play. But I'm seeing a little too much.
So Caleb Lohner steps to the line. The BYU transfer. Junior out of Flower Mound, Texas.
He played for a guy named Eric Littleton, a terrific coach in the Dallas area. His claim to fame, he's a manager for Dean Smith. Think about that.
Too bad they can't run the 4 corners offense.
They can't do it anymore. Like they can in high school in Dallas. Put the damn shot clock in, Texas. Seriously. Let's go.
Lohner 1 for 2. A 9-point Iowa State lead with the ball. Trying to take down 12th ranked Baylor. And a foul called on Langston Love.
You got to be smart right now, and that's kind of what I was talking about. A lot of that play was, I think you just got to call that and make the players adjust to the officiating.
This is the 45th meeting between these two programs. Baylor has a 24-20 win, but they've won 9 straight in the regular season against Iowa State. Cyclones looking to snap that streak this afternoon. Kalscheur short. Ojonwunu the rebound. And here's the man with the hottest hand in the second half. Keontae George gives it up to Flagler.
A lot of one-on-one here, but he's good at it.
The lob, and Lohner can't pay it off in traffic, but a foul is called.
No problem with that. Lohner got behind the defender, and the defender didn't know he was there. Take a look right now. Good downhill drive right here. Defender is backing into him, and it's a tough play, but I think it's the right call.
So Caleb Lohner back at the line. He was recruited by the Baylor Bears as a 15-year-old. Attended their elite camp. He said Scott Drew started recruiting me then, but he decided to move to Utah, played for his uncle, and then spent a couple of years at BYU.
Yep, played at Wasatch Academy.
Lohner goes 2 for 2.
Again, after free throws, they put the diamond press on.
Handled cleanly by the Clones. They lead by 7, 9 minutes to go.
Let's watch now. If they're in pick and roll, let's see how they utilize their offensive players right here.
Holmes lost the handle on the way up, but the foul's going to be called on Ojonwunu.
That time, Holmes used the screen, and he had to switch on the big fella. Got downhill, and there was contact.
So Jaron Holmes, who was held scoreless in the first half, has 4 in the second half so far, steps to the line. Terrific student athlete, a 3.7 GPA coming out of St. Bonaventure.
I talked to Adrian Wojnarowski last night, who's probably as big a Bonnie's fan as there is. And as much as it would hurt to see all these guys leave for their 5th year, he had great things to say about them, and particularly this young guy who he said will probably be in the political media someday. Let's see if we can get him in sports, okay?
He's a perfect 4 for 4 from the stripe. The lead is 9. Adam Flagler with the ball, scoreless so far in the second half.
Well, the help defense has been outstanding.
Here's Thamba. 10 on the shot clock. Flagler rises up, can't knock it down. Loose ball. Oshuni with it.
Trey King, the transfer from Eastern Kentucky, has given TJ Otzelberger good minutes today without Jazz Kuntz out there.
Holmes just missed the three, tracked down by King. Trapped in the corner, and a timeout called by TJ Otzelberger. 2 timeouts remaining for Iowa State, but they're up 9 with.
And between great coaches, guys that develop players, and these fan bases, it's the reason why clearly over the last decade this league is the best in the country. No doubt. Last 2 national champions, and 3 years ago Texas Tech 1 possession away.
That foul is going to go on Caleb Loner.
You can build all the practice facilities you want and tell people that it matters, but basketball matters in this league, and you got Hall of Fame coaches. Look at this.
Caught the Baylor defense napping. Jaron Holmes having himself a good second half.
Baylor's defense has been awful today. We said it at the beginning. This team is nowhere near what it's going to be later on. But their effort today in the second half, not good.
George, he's been really good in the second half, but misses that one. Loner had it blocked from behind. Here's Grill. Goes right into Flagler, and an offensive foul on Caleb Grill.
Caleb was looking for the 2-on-1, but Flagler was smelling it out. Take a look. Easy. Caleb's got to know better right there. But you can't take away his energy. You know what I mean? Like, TJ's got to live with some plays like that because this kid pours his heart out.
11-point lead matches their largest of the day. Here's George. Offensive putback, no good by Bridges, out of bounds. And it looks like it'll stay Baylor basketball.
I'll tell you what's fun right now. Every rebound is hand-to-hand combat. You got guys like Jones and Bridges and Love. Here comes Grill back in quickly. Trey King's given TJ a great effort today because look at this inside.
Thamba can't pay it off. Missed the bunny, did Flo Thamba.
He's not going to be any more open the rest of the season, and just couldn't finish. Take a look right here.
Baylor's missed their last 8 shots, including that one. And that foul's going to go on Caleb Grill. He picks up a quick 2, and he has 3 in the game. And the crowd just saw the replay, and they are nonplussed, to say the least.
Almost always when a player gets tangled up with the defender, they call the foul for tripping.
Now both teams in the bonus with 7 minutes to go. A 1-and-1 opportunity for Keontae George. 13 second half points, now 14, and he's got 15 in the game.
Take a look right here. Watch their feet get tangled up right there, and they did. And it's a bad break for Caleb Grill, but that's how that play is called.
That, to me, looks like the definition of incidental contact.
Yeah, except it puts the offensive player at a disadvantage, you know. And that's how it's officiated, I'd say, over the last 5 years.
Now 16 for the freshman sensation, Keontae George. 15 of those coming in the second half.
And I think the problem for Baylor is, as he's gotten hot, Flagler's been guarded and gone cold. Don't want to put anybody on the line right now, so you've got to be aggressive without fouling.
Jones. Grill can't knock down the baseline through. And the officials say that Tamin Lipsey was out of bounds.
Great hustle by Lipsey. We couldn't see it, but Amy Bonner had a good view here. Let's take a look. Ooh. He's in.
Play ball.
Got to overcome adversity.
And they have today. Iowa State trailed by as many as 9 in the first half. They lead by 9 with 6:15 to go. 5 to shoot. And an offensive foul called. Robert Jones getting position.
Fans like that call from Amy Bonner. Good defense.
From villain to hero.
Yep. Now the misconception is he's moving his feet, but once you're legal, you are allowed to move sideways or obliquely. I don't know what that word means, but I think it means backwards.
Here's Lipsy. 8 points, 7 assists today for the freshman. Jones, high post, goes to the cup and gets it to go.
Robert Jones has put 20 pounds on since last season. He's much more assertive at the rim. Now he's inside the arc, Thomas, so that's an automatic. But they call this kid Big Rob Energy. And it's because he plays his heart out. Rich, we were at a practice last year before the season. And I remember T.J. Otzelberger said, what do you think of Rob? And I said, well, if he plays this hard every day, he will be a cult hero in Hilton, and he is.
Largest lead of the afternoon for the Clones. George, step back, 3, short. Tipped by Bridges. And it's going to stay Baylor basketball. Jalen Bridges has done yeoman-like work.
He really has, yep. He's playing the 4 spot. And when we watched him at West Virginia, he was really a 3-man.
The Bears have missed their last 10 shots. And it's picked off by Lipsy. Kalscheur for 3.
I got goosebumps just now. Because I'm going to tell you, Rich, I didn't want to compare Lipsy to Monte Morris. This is a Monte Morris type of performance.
Flagler trying to get things going in the second half.
I'll tell you, man, I didn't want to put the pressure on him, knowing TJ told us yesterday and today this kid's poise is special. He grew up within the shadows of this campus. Mom and dad work at the university, and I think he's kind of been their MVP today. As good as they've been with other like Holmes, Kalscheur, Grill, against this backcourt, Tamin Lipsy has kept his composure and played great.
And in his first Big 12 regular season game, we're talking about a teenager playing against the 12th ranked Baylor Bears.
He grew up here, so he knows what this building means. Just watch. Just so much poise.
Court awareness, court vision.
Yep.
Doesn't need to score to impact the game.
Remember, he picked up those 2 early fouls in the first half, and that could have kind of mentally set him back, but it obviously hasn't.
Now he has 4 fouls, so he's going to have to be substituted in judiciously by T.J. Otzelberger in the final 4:43. Flagler gets his first 2 points of the second half. He has 20. But it's Iowa State's offense in the second half that has been the story. Looking to snap a 9-game regular season losing streak to these Baylor Bears. And a flop called on Baylor. That's going to be a free throw and the ball for Iowa State.
Let's watch now on the shot. Terry Oglesby. I couldn't see the flop.
Nevertheless, Gabe Kalscheur at the line. He's got 21. His season high is 23. And Keontae George frustrated.
Well, his teammates told him that this is going to be a little different. He's had moments of brilliance today. You can talk about playing in this league. You just have to kind of go through it.
What can Baylor do in the final 4+ minutes to overcome a 14-point deficit?
Stopping the Cyclones from scoring at one end. That's really been the difference, Rich.
Flagler tried the hezzy, lost the handle, and it's going to be Iowa State basketball.
This program, I don't know how talented this team is. They've obviously beaten some good teams, and this is impressive. This program is about to explode over the next couple seasons because they'll be a tough out in here, but they have a great recruiting class coming in. They have the right guy in control. He loves being here. And I expect Iowa State to be a top 25 team going forward the next decade. I really do. Wait till you see Omaha Ballou, the young man from Des Moines, who's a terrific athlete. You know why he's named Omaha?
Why is that?
Because he was born in Omaha. Mom and dad, South Sudanese refugees, moved to Des Moines, one of the top 15 players in the ESPN high school rankings, and they've got a great class coming in. This place deserves to have this program back where it was when we saw it under Fred Hoiberg and early Steve Prohm.
Well, at the top of every college coach's wish list coming into this season was, we want to be old. The Iowa State Cyclones are old. They've got 3 1,000-point scorers on their roster, a couple of 24-year-olds, including Jaron Holmes with the ball right now. And they have a 72-56 lead over the 12th-ranked Baylor Bears with 3:40 to go.
I don't think Baylor's defense can do anything to speed Iowa State up. And Iowa State's going to use clock now.
Oshuni back out to Kalscheur. Here's Holmes all alone. Now it's getting go time.
Yes, got to have a comeback game.
And it's been a frustrating second half for Kalscheur. The home run pass. Caleb Grill was a high school quarterback, and he's shown.
Caleb Grill has been in Baylor's grill, and they've also gone 8 for 8 from the foul line.
27-point swing. Baylor led by 9 in the first half. They trail by 18, now 16 in the second half.
They're going to need a miracle. They're going to have to turn Iowa State over. And to this point, Rich, the press has been really ineffective. You see that? Yeah, they'll take air out of it if they can.
Now they'll bleed the clock even more. 10 to shoot. Here's Holmes working on George. 3 to shoot.
Good no call. Yep. Holmes, the veteran, tried to draw the foul. He did a good job, Holmes.
And Keontae George is a little heated up, and things are getting a little frisky on the floor.
That's just a freshman. We said this from the very beginning. This is a different animal in the Big 12. Sorry, it is.
We talked about how preternaturally mature Keontae George is. Now he's showing his age just a little bit.
Well, his coaches told him yesterday at practice. And by the way, Jaron Holmes did something really smart. As he was backing Keontae George down, he looked at the far shot clock, and that's a veteran move just to see how much time he had.
And now George will exit, and Jordan Turner will take his spot on the floor. A lot of coaches say you don't win or lose, you win or learn. It's been a learning kind of an afternoon for Keontae George.
And I said it early, Rich, this Baylor team is going to get much better as the year goes on. They're playing without an all-conference player today.
Iowa State looking to take down number 12 Baylor, while in Lawrence, Kansas, at last check,
Oklahoma State was up late.
Oklahoma State had a lead at Allen Fieldhouse.
And Texas was leading Oklahoma in the final seconds.
All 5 games today to kick off the regular season of the Big 12 Conference featured one ranked team. TCU was ranked, they won on their home floor. Iowa State looking to pull off the upset on their home floor over 12th ranked Baylor. And here's a look at the early predictions by Joe Lunardi, who's only right about 99% of the time. 9 out of the 10 teams predicted to be in the field.
Texas has just beaten Oklahoma in Norman, and Kansas leads Oklahoma State by 1 in Lawrence.
Under 2 minutes to go. Taman Lipsey. It's been a warm welcome into Big 12 regular season play for the freshman. Here's Grill for 3.
Love the haircut too. That's new style.
18-point advantage. Blocked from behind and the foul called on Oshuni.
Big fellow was 2-time Big 8-10 Defensive Player of the Year. Thamba, who missed that early layup a few minutes ago, he's going up strong right here. I think, you're talking to the coaches yesterday and today, I think this is the performance they were expecting out of Oshuni when he transferred. Watching tape, I did not see the energy that I expected from him after watching him for 4 years at St. Bonaventure. This is the kind of effort that turns you into a cult hero, the way we saw Isaiah Brockington do it last year.
He's one of 3 active players with 300 or more career blocks. Didn't get one there, but you saw why he's had so many in his career. So Thamba goes 1 for 2, but at this point it might just be academic. 17-point Iowa State lead. The second time this season the Cyclones have knocked down 10 or more threes.
And this is going to be the second time they've beaten a ranked team, because they beat Carolina on when they were #1. And you can see why, Rich, because the defense travels, whether it's home or away, and when they're making shots, they really can beat anybody. This is a team that went 7-11 in the Big 12 last year and went to the Sweet 16.
That's right. There's a lay-in by Bonner. Well, we talk a lot about Hilton Magic. This is an effort game today. No magic necessary, but Iowa State at home against ranked opponents, 73 and 88 all time. But you go back the last 44 games, they're 26 and 18. You don't think home court advantage means something? It does here in Ames. Holmes. And Lipsey rips it away.
Pet peeve here, don't take a turnover, shoot it. Why penalize one of your players with a turnover? That's it. Now you don't shoot it.
Now Baylor will drop to 10-3 on the season. Next up for them, Wednesday, their home opener in the Big 12 campaign against TCU. Iowa State